Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Insiders Talk. I'm Sadanira,
I'm Rahul.
your hosts for today. So, Rahul, would you like to tell our listeners who we have with us today?
Sure, Sadanira. So we have Shitiz Dogra with us today. Shitiz currently heads the digital marketing practice at Indigo. A MICA and NSIT alumnus, he has over a decade's experience across verticals like marketing, sales, growth hacking, and corporate communications. He also co-founded a venture called First Eat, which offered calorie-counted meal services and nutrition consulting to consumers in Gurgaon. He's a published author. His book called Amyat, a collection of Hindi poems, is available on Amazon, Flipkart, and rektabooks.com. He's extremely passionate about digital marketing, brands, storytelling, innovations, and creative pursuits. So, welcome to our podcast, Shitiz.
Thank you so much, guys. Really excited to be here.
So, Shitiz, since you're an alumnus of MICA, would you like to share a glimpse of your MBA journey with us?
Oh, MICA was a dream time I had for 2 years during 2011 to 13. So MICA was always my dream college. It was something which I was chasing, and luckily I got an opportunity to be a part of MICA MBA program. I majored in brand management in MICA, and apart from the phenomenal faculty that we had, and industry experts that we got exposure to, we were also exposed to real life projects as well. And in addition to that, there were a lot of extracurricular activities that MICA hosted, and I was a part of that. Uh, Two of my major passions during my college days, during my engineering as well as during my MBA, I got to hone them at MICA as well. So I'm a passionate basketball player. I've been basketball player for almost a decade, and I have done a lot of theater as well. So I got to basically live that dream at MICA as well. Participated in a lot of competitions, won a lot of awards, and of course met some really amazing people. And the best part about MICA is the diversity of people that come from. They come from various backgrounds, not just engineering, but various other disciplines as well. And it really opens up your horizons and the way you see the world. Yeah, and I think that was the best part. We were exposed to subjects like culture and communication, innovation and marketing, entrepreneurship, and many other various subjects. And I think that was a fantastic time I had. And this is just I would say anecdote I would like to share. My engineering college also had red bricks. Mike also had red bricks. So that kind of brings in evokes a feelings of nostalgia. I don't know why, just a thing
Right.
that I had, but I had a really amazing time at MICA.
That's great. And Shitiz, if you don't mind us asking you, like, is there any particular incident from MICA that is very memorable that you'd like to share with us? Something that you narrate to people over a
Oh
coffee
yes,
or something?
definitely. There are many, but so there's one incident which is etched in my memory. And if anyone from my batch is listening to this podcast, they might remember this. So I was in my first year way back in 2011. I think it was September 2011, and we used to have a theater fest, which was more kind of open to all the batches in MICA, and I was performing for a play, and I was sort of a protagonist of the play, and my performance apparently was a bit of a tearjerker, and people were really moved. So when the performance ended, the entire auditorium gave me at least a 7 to 8 minute standing ovation. Everyone was just chanting Dogra, 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 and I was like speechless. I didn't know what to do. I'd never experienced something like this. So it was a very emotional moment, and whenever I think of that moment, I still get goosebumps. And I even we performed that play for Theatre Fest at SIMC as well, and I got the Best Actor award as well for that. Vidhu Vinod Chopra, the notable Bollywood director, gave me that award, and it was all because of that play. And there were like 200 people in the auditorium when we were chanting my name, and then when I was off stage, I was surrounded by all the folks. The people were crying their hearts out, and I was speechless. So this is
That's
one
great.
memory which, yeah, it gives me goosebumps whenever I think of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll cherish this memory forever.
It is incredible
Yeah.
to have that many people appreciate you. Mm.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, after your MBA, you've worked for over a decade now. From all your experience till date, what are some of the tools and skills that you'll suggest every marketer should explore in order to have a smooth onboarding with the new opportunities ahead?
I'm glad you're asking this question because a lot of people when they're getting into their professional journey, they're not sure how to basically address that or how to be better prepared for that. So in the world of marketing, there are a lot of skills that come in handy. Some are soft skills and some are application or technology based. But I think copywriting is one skill that really makes a job fun and easier as a marketer. Every marketer must aspire to take up some copywriting course online available. Try to hone this skill. And in addition to this, the working knowledge and application of MS Excel and PowerPoint is also important. Marketeers work on a lot of data and presentations. And if you've mastered this skill within B school itself, your work life will be a breeze. Trust me. And another critical skill set that helps marketers would be to have good customer insights or research understanding, so that they can apply these insights when they are shaping up a campaign or thinking of a new idea. Uh, in addition to this, I think one should have a keen sense of attention to detail, so that the work which is done by marketers, it's out there, right? It's visible to the entire world, so it has to be flawless. So if you have a hawk eye to finding attention to details, it will be really helpful in your career. And so these are some of the soft skills that I'm talking about. And I think the next would be something around the application side, which is, working knowledge of digital marketing platforms and tools. There are a lot of free courses which are available on YouTube and other websites as well. So you should try and consume that content. You should definitely know the fundamentals of digital marketing, stuff like SEO, website metrics, analytics tool like Google Analytics, how to run ads on Facebook and Google is something really basic that you should know. It's not rocket science, but if you put your mind and heart to it, you will definitely be able to gain a lot of knowledge out of it. And trust me, if you have these skills, it'll come in really handy when someday you're trying to open your venture, or have your own startup. I have I've basically implemented this in my own startup. That's why I'm telling you, it's super helpful.
Right. So, since you have mentioned social media websites, we would like to know that with the rise of all these social media platforms, how have aviation companies leveraged these platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok? How do they engage with their audience to promote their services?
A very interesting question. So first, I'd like to talk about how the behavior on social media has kind of shaped over the last few years. Everything being done on social media, you're putting up content out there, but you're consuming content. But now, people are using social media as a source for searching stuff, right? A lot of searches are happening on social media platforms. And, if it so happens that social media is apparently the first place where people go to interact with your brand. That's the first place they go and see what the brand is doing, and how to get a sense about it. And the good part of social media is that it allows brands to do a two-way communication, which kind of builds a very strong advocacy with customers. You will be shocked to know that YouTube is slowly emerging as the go-to place for customers. People are searching stuff on YouTube. For example, the search for the keyword flight has risen by almost 100% in the last 1 year. And that's a staggering insight. And apart from that, community building is also one part which is extremely strong thanks to social media. Social media platforms are also a great way to create a community of believers, people who love to engage with your brand, and people who have high intent, right? Because they're coming and searching specifically for stuff, and which makes a ready-made case for a loyal audience that can be targeted for your promotional or any informational communication in future. Reels, for example, of course, the entire world is on Reels. They're consuming Reels, they're making Reels. Reels can give you, immense reach for your posts organically. Yeah. We see a lot of Reels going viral, but, if you do it right, you can get so much reach and reach, tap into your target audience if you do it right. And, you get all of it for free. You're not paying a dime for that. And so that's the organic part, how social media is helping your brand and helping you as a user as well. But alternatively, you can also run targeted paid ads to potential users through different formats. people can engage with your website or your app, and you get quality traffic. And if you've observed, a lot of brands use Twitter as their ORM, which is the online response management tool. And if you see, it's typically a free tool for people or brands to resolve queries for the customers. So you're in touch with your customers without spending a dime. So that's the beauty of it. So if I have to summarize, social platforms are extremely critical. They act as very good vehicles for brand awareness, new user acquisition, and user engagement. If you understand the channel right.
Right. Shitiz, we also see a lot of content every day, every minute and every second these days. Today, content marketing is booming. So, how do you think content is going to shape for marketing further, especially in terms of digital marketing? What are some of the opportunities that you think we'll need to explore in future?
Yeah. Well, yeah, content marketing has been on the rise for the last 6, 7 years since the startup boom exploded in India at the fag end of 2014. Content marketing has been the poster child for every startup. So I'd like to share something which is my understanding of how I've consumed marketing and I've created campaigns. I think the conscious consumers of today want branded content which either educates them, informs them, or entertains them. So if you're approaching content marketing from this lens, it will not seem like a hardcore selling.
Mm,
So as long as brands keep customers in the center of any content creation, they would definitely consume the content, whether it is branded or the otherwise. And that's the biggest differentiator in your marketing strategy. If I have to say, it's basically marketing which doesn't feel too pushy. I'd like to give an example. So we recently at Indigo launched 2 new content properties on our social media handles, and the response has been amazing. So there's one property which is called 60 Tours. So this is basically a series on Instagram where we show you a city from the lens of a cabin crew. Yeah. The cabin crew goes across the city, exploring all the best part of the city, the food, the people, the culture, and the response has been amazing. And the second series that we've started, it's called License to Fly, which tries to help customers who want to know how to become a pilot. Yeah, it's a question that it's on everybody's mind that being a pilot is a fantastic job. You're on 35,000 feet, and how does one become a pilot? What all is needed? So this series is on YouTube, the full episode, and it's also received amazing response. And now recently, the whole talk around AI, the generative AI in the market, the type of content consumers are getting, it's really innovative, it's diverse, and it's really engaging. And then this opens up the doors of creativity, which talks to various sets of consumers, people who are customers, people who are marketeers, people who are non-marketeers, people who are business owners or entrepreneurs. So I would definitely say, yeah, exciting times ahead for content marketing.
Sure, Shitiz. I mean, that's very interesting. But yeah, you've mentioned Indigo and you've been working in Indigo for a while now. But before this, you worked at ONGC. So when we were just going through your experience, we came across this. You went through this reputation damage control exercise as part of this Nagaram oil rig blowout. So yeah, I mean that seems like such a big challenge. Could you just give us an insight or a glimpse of what you had to go through to make sure that you could limit whatever damage that was taking place with respect to that incident?
Yeah. So, online reputation management is one of the critical functions that bigger organizations need to have. And especially the organizations, that are public in nature, who are basically answerable to shareholders. Any negative news can impact your share price massively. And, that's why ORM teams and reputation management teams need to, be there with proper processes. And I think the bedrock of reputation management is the truth. Whenever any crisis happens, the first thing the corporate communication teams need to do is to get the facts correct and all the information from past that can probably, have a potential impact on the incident. The next step would be to do a thorough on-ground inspection and find out elements that triggered the incident. And after this proper scrutiny through a task force, you share your findings in official capacity through a press release that clearly highlights the reason the incident happened. your analysis of it, and the remedial measures you're going to, follow after this. When the unfortunate incident at Nagaram happened, we engaged our internal task force that worked in close tandem with the government authorities to do the root cause analysis of the incident. Then we shared our findings with the national media in an official press release. And so that was the first part, right? Understanding the incident and giving out an honest statement. After this came the major part, which was essentially my project to do sensitization in the operating areas around disaster management and all the communication around it. In oil, most of the drilling and the operations that happen are in the remote areas, and they are in hamlets where a lot of people are living around it. There are a lot of villages, and you're answerable to people. You need to take care of the resources and everything. So, what we did, we did a massive outreach through traditional media in vernacular language. We distributed a lot of pamphlets. We put a lot of hoardings and, toll-free numbers, information. We distributed in schools, government places, and all the meeting places in villages, and try to sensitize that if you see anything untoward, happening or even simmering, you give us a call. And, ONGC team did a fantastic job, and they were available 24/7 on this toll-free number to mitigate anything that was happening. And we did that in the local language. We did it in Telugu, and that's why we were able to do kind of a good job of it in terms of addressing future incidents. This helped mitigate near misses and serious cases significantly. So yeah, I think reputation management is a critical function and should not be taken lightly at all.
Right. I mean, that's quite interesting because Indigo itself has also seen controversial news in the past, right? I mean, so how does that affect the digital marketing of the airline? Like, how does the marketing team deal with this? And is there any particular role that data analytics can play, for example, in this exercise?
Very interesting question. So, as a brand, we get more good news than bad news, and we also have a very strong crisis management ORM team, which comes into the picture to ensure we resolve anything negative or false information being peddled. And I think before we jump into the data aspect of it, as marketers, we need to understand, how do we make sense out of data? What kind of data would be important for us? Yeah. So let's say if any untoward incident or any controversy happens, we as digital marketers closely monitor the online sentiment to gauge how it can impact the brand, or any of our ongoing campaigns. A simple example would be monitoring your social media comments or app store listings. For example, your online response management tool can set alerts. Let's say if there is an issue with your product, you get alerts that there are a lot of spikes in, let's say, negative comments or one-star ratings or stuff like that. And basis that analysis, we take decisions whether we want to amplify any campaign or maybe just pause it for the moment. And there's also, we keep a close check on any customer-focused promotional communication that needs to go out during this period. It's very important that, if the sentiment is negative, you need to take a call whether this campaign really needs to go today or not. Can we live without it? Or, that kind of information that needs to be addressed.
Got it. Got it. So I mean, that does seem like a pretty significant challenge nonetheless. And this reminds me of one of the biggest challenges we've had over the past decade, in fact, which is 3 years back, we had our COVID-19 pandemic. So how has the aviation industry adapted its marketing strategies in response to COVID-19? And have you learned any particular lesson from other industries that you could apply to where you're working now?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, COVID hit the aviation sector really hard, but gladly it has bounced back, and the numbers are pretty strong. The percentage of flyers is probably has crossed the pre-COVID levels. But if I have to talk about how it has shaped the industry's outlook after this COVID pandemic, airlines have been extra cautious with respect to the hygiene, the basic operations, and customer support aspects. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Whenever we are flying, or anyone is flying, there's a lot of anxiety that people go through. They need support. They need human interaction to alleviate their fears and any doubts around their travel. And that's why having a human approach and having a a scalable technical approach in terms of customer service goes a long way. I'll give an example. Indigo did an RFID-based innovation that checks all the life jackets on board on a plane in a matter of minutes. And by doing this, we reduce the turnaround time by 90%. And these strategies go on to improve the customer experience by miles, and it only enhances their faith in the brand. And we keep innovating to give the best possible experience to our customers. We are the only airline in the world that introduced 3-point disembarkation system on our flights, which reduced the turnaround time by almost 7 minutes. And these things impact the overall flying experience massively. So the 3-point disembarkation system is that you could either get off from the back door or the front door, but in the front there are two doors, one is left on the right, and the 3-point disembarkation system address that, and people could get off the plane faster and go to their respective destinations, and it elevated the customer experience massively. From a marketing perspective, I think post-COVID international travel has picked up massively, and it forms a considerable chunk of the marketing campaigns being churned on by brands today. Themes like domestic staycation and solo travel have also boomed, and I think this is being used, massively as levers by airlines to promote destinations.
Right. It is great to know about the initiatives taken by Indigo. Going back to your conversation with Rahul, we talked about ONGC recently. So we know that you've worked in oil and gas industry, but we also know that you've worked in the automobile industry as well. Automobile and aviation industries are very different, yet similar. So how has your experience in the automobile industry helped you serve better in the aviation industry? And could you share some similarities in terms of strategizing campaigns?
Oh, it's a very interesting question. Uh, the industries might be different, but the target audience is same, humans. And we at Indigo, our endeavor is always to get Indians to take their first step towards air travel. And whenever they do, they should think of Indigo. And the level of extensive connectivity we bring to the table for flyers is the reason that our motto is India by Indigo. We are connecting the country within itself, taking people to places, and also taking India to the world. And if I have to draw a parallel, I'd say brand reputation and value for money are some of the key things that Indian consumers pay most attention to. During my stint with Honda, I was managing two major states in northern India, and my on-ground experience was a testimony to the fact that Indian consumers don't mind spending extra, as long as the true value is being offered. Also, another common component in both the industries would be customer service. That's when the moment of truth comes to the fore and stays with the customers for a long time. As a customer, whenever I needed you and you were there for me, that is going to stay with me for a long time. And that's why I think customer service is an integral component to winning the Indian consumer's heart.
Got it. So Shitiz, I wanted to ask you this particular question about United Airlines because it's something that was very interesting when we were just doing research about our aviation industry. So they appointed a new chief trash officer named Oscar. It's a very interesting title, and they had an advertising campaign featuring Oscar from Sesame Street, who likes trash, and they were using that to highlight their sustainable aviation initiatives. So as a marketer, storytelling is a valuable skill, but it's not, as far as at least we have seen from our perspective, observed in the aviation industry. So what do you think about this creative approach?
Well, I think storytelling has been used extensively in aviation. Some of the oldest and biggest airlines have produced some compelling stories, brand films in the past. YouTube is full of them. If you go and look forward to Turkish Airlines or probably British Airways, there are some beautiful films. And like I mentioned, we at Indigo also started two content series on social media, the 60 Tours and License to Fly, which I just mentioned. And as a matter of fact, we turned 17 this year, and our brand film was released in August when we turned 17, and it encapsulates the essence of our journey so far, in the form of a musical video. You should definitely check it out. It has over 50 million views, and I think that should tell you something about storytelling. Well, that's about aviation, but coming to the point of United Airlines, I think it was a very clever move if we keep the objective in mind. The objective of the campaign was to drive awareness around the sustainability initiatives done by United. They chose a character which has immense recall within US, and this character cuts across the TG cohorts, from kids to millennials to parents. Oscar is on everyone's mind, and from an audience reach perspective, I think it's a brilliant move. You've chosen a character that everybody knows, and it perfectly blends in with the motto that you have for this campaign. And it gets kids and parents talking about sustainability, which is good for the planet and good for the brand. So I think it was a very good move.
Right. So, coming towards the end of our podcast, we would like to know more about your creative side as well. So, your book Ahamiyat has Hindi poetry inspired by all your past experiences and observations. We would love to hear some lines from your book Ahamiyat, which would have Ahamiyat in our listeners' lives as well.
Thank you so much. That's brilliantly put by you. So basically, I've always been passionate about writing. By profession, I'm a marketer, but I'm an author at heart. And so Ahmed was my first book, which came out last year. And whatever I observed over the last decade, I've tried to pen it down, and just hoping that probably some of the listeners might go and read my book if they can read Hindi, and might connect with it in some shape or form. Uh, just give me a minute. I would like to find something relevant. Yeah. So there is, we as professionals, when we enter the professional world, there's a lot of nostalgia with respect to how life was before we started working, and how we were when we were in college, and how we were when we were in school. There's a lot of nostalgia around it, right? And this poem that I'm going to recite now is talking about that nostalgia, and it's called Sham, and so this poem is on page number 80 in my book. It's poem number 45. So I'll recite it for you guys. It
Yes.
basically talks about, how as a professional I'm reminiscing the days of the past and I'm yearning for them. Yeah. So इस पोएम का नाम है शाम. शाम मेरी वो बचपन की कहीं तो गिरवी रखी है. उस कर्जे की खातिर मैं जवानी रोज जलाता हूँ. ना हाथ फेरती है सर पर अब माँ, ना भाई मुझे रुलाता है. जवानी की छत पर जाकर मैं बचपन को आवाज लगाता हूँ. बजती है घंटी गली में मेरी, पर वो कुल्फी वाला अब ना आता है. धूप देती है ठंडक दिल को और एसी खून जलाता है. वो गई शाम क्या बचपन की, ले गई साथ पसीना भी. मुलाकात हुई जिंदगी से ऐसी, अब आंखों से पसीना आता है. अरसा हुआ अब शाम से मिले, रात भी रूठा करती है. मैं तो यही हूं, तुम करते हो देरी, कहकर झूठा मुझे बुलाती है. अंधेरे में आता हूं घर जब मोहल्ला सूना लगता है. दहलीज पर बैठा एक हल्का सा साया रोज मेरे गले लगता है. ये साया है उस शाम का शायद, जो मैदान की धूल में बह गई. वो शाम जो जिंदगी के हिसाब में गलती से गिरवी रह गई. गलती से गिरवी रह गई.
Wow,
That was
that
great.
was wonderful.
Just a applause from our side. It was
Uh,
very beautiful.
we know
Thank you
we
so
can
much.
now know how important nostalgia as an emotion can
You
be.
felt very nostalgic when you were reading it as well. So,
Thank you
but
so
yeah,
much, guys. Thank you so much.
I also reminded about your LinkedIn post recently. That was also about nostalgia. The
Oh,
paper boat.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Paperboat, and their storytelling is phenomenal. Every single
Yes.
post has insight that is relatable. Yeah, and it is just amazing.
So yeah, as we've gotten to the end of our episode, so yeah, thank you, Shitiz, so much for sharing your insights with us. You've got such extensive experience across multiple industries, and you've got such expertise in this particular field that when our audience tunes into our podcast, I'm sure they're going to learn so much in such little time. So before we end, anything that you'd like to mention to our listeners? They're primarily MBA students, and of course, they'll look a lot up to you and what you've achieved, and they'll be aspirational as well. So anything that you'd like to share with them?
Oh, definitely. I would like to share a couple of things. The first thing that I'd like to share is, please, please talk to people when you have any doubts. There's no shame in asking for help. I know placement season would probably start by the fag end of October, November, December in these schools, and people have a lot of anxiety around it. And it tests people a lot. Your friendship gets tested, your connects get tested, your knowledge gets tested. But please don't ever lose hope. There's a world out there which will definitely embrace you, if you have honesty and belief in yourself. I know these sounds like typical life gyan or motivation quotes, but it's not. It's really simple. And if let's say if you're not getting your dream job on campus, it's not the end of the world. Learn stuff before you hit your professional journey, and I'm sure you will go places. I've seen people who have done wonders in their careers, and did not get even a dream job when got placed on campus, but still they kept at it, they kept learning, and it really helped them. So you should definitely chase learning. A lot of people, of course, there are reasons. When I was starting my career, we had education loan, and we were looking for a certain amount of CTC that we wanted and stuff like that. But trust me, it doesn't matter in the long run. You should definitely go for the role, and do your thorough research for the companies that you want to apply to. If it's a space that excites you, you should definitely go all out and get as much information as possible, and try to make the most of it. And you can definitely reach out to me anytime if you like. If you need any guidance or any help, I'm definitely always available. I'll try my best to alleviate your fears and probably instill some hope for the future. So yeah, definitely chase learning. Don't chase money. Money will follow. I know Three Idiots tells us that, but it's the truth. You will realize it once you hit your career. Secondly, please take care of yourself, your physical health and mental health. If you're not in a good space mentally, you won't be able to, attend your classes. Your attendance will fall short. You will not be able to, deliver results or probably even do well in placements. Mental health is extremely important. Talk to people. It works wonders when you pour your heart out. Or, there's one thing that I used to practice was, diary writing or journaling, as they say. Journaling as a method is prescribed by mental health experts massively because it works. All the fears that you have, just write them in your diary, and over a period of you realize that your fears list of fears is just going down because you took them out. You realize that they're not so big, they're just big in your head. So mental health, you should take care of that. Your physical health, and take care of your relationships as well. Ultimately, if we are successful, or if we have achieved something, if we don't have people around us to share it with, it's all pointless. Yeah. So, and there's no shame in accepting that you have emotions. We are all human beings, we have emotions. We need to be heard. We need to tell people what we're feeling, whether you're in B school, whether you're in professional life or otherwise. It's very important. So yeah, these are some of the things I'd like to share with you guys. Yeah. And you know please never be afraid to take risks when you're trying to make a switch in your career or trying to take a decision about your career. Keep a hand to heart and ask yourself whether you really want it. If you do, then go for it. Don't ever feel scared. There's nothing that you can't achieve.
Thank you so much, Shitiz, and I'm sure all of us, all of our audience will find it very valuable. But then, so that brings an end to this episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. It was wonderful catching up with you.